There was in fact a dialogue where Jeremy Renner says that, I love the way you approach language almost like a mathematician. And a lot of times, we language lovers or people who are typically from the humanities background often don't get our due. But over here, we have somebody who's approaching language in such a technical format.
Weapon as a word, like if you have decipher a word which is translating as weapon. So a military person is understanding weapon as a threat. But what if the term weapon is coming out like they have the only word to describe that particular term in their vocabulary? What do you do?
A tool.
Yeah, if they mean a tool or a machine.
But she says, I knew, my daughter was going to die, in a very rare disease and all of that. But I still chose her life. I still chose, bringing her into this world, celebrating that relationship and going through that pain of it. Because when you choose love, you choose grief along with it.
What if they say Om 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 is on their playlist?
I was just waiting कि कब तुम खत्म करके आए इसलिए अनुराग को लास्ट में से दिल पे बम 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 डॉट पे
रुको मूवी बनी है इस पे रुको मैं दिखाता हूँ.
Your first thoughts after you watched the movie? Maybe you've watched it recently, maybe you've watched it a long time ago, and how does it compare to like other alien invasion movies that usually Hollywood is pretty kind of famous for?
I think I watched it in 2016 when it released for the first time in the theater. And I remember, I would almost fall asleep, but the movie still had something going in it that I could not fall asleep. It had that, sense of mystery in it. But the first thing that I noticed, I think, was that, the form of an alien creature is not traditionally a humanoid. Now, this is something that I've been exploring in games, in other movies, TV shows, Star Trek, whatnot. I've been always curious about this thing. Why is the form not humanoid? Why is the form always humanoid? And why is it so comprehensible every single time? We were also going to have a session on, I think, science fiction a couple months back. Arrival would have been my pick solely because of this particular, venture that you don't portray the alien as a comprehensible creature at all. It is something that the first interaction itself was very, very unique, I would say. And I was really pleasantly surprised that, wow, they did it. I think that was my first thought. And again, the entire premise where the movie leaves you, I think very few movies have, while exiting the theater, there's only, I think, 4 movies that have made me feel what Arrival did when I left. So as the discussion goes on, I think I'll, explore more on that. But my first thoughts were like something very not experienced before and like taken aback by, मैंने क्या देख लिया? That was the feel, yeah.
3 of my favorite directors who come right after Satyajit Ray and Rituparna Ghosh would be Nolan, Denis Villeneuve and David Fincher. So in तीनों का कोई भी movie आता है, I cannot miss it for anything, and I have to watch them in the theaters. So when I went for it, of course, I was like, okay, fine. What I really loved, the first thing which I loved was the design of the spaceship. I think it was very different from the other kind of spaceships or UFO or whatever you might call them. And I like the fact that, the movie didn't just call them alien. Like they got a very different name, which was heptapods. And of course, they had a reason why they called them heptapods. And it was later on described by Jeremy Renner. So this movie was, of course, special because I belong to the communication background. As a student, I've studied communication. My job profile is that of a communicator. And this movie, prima facie, so Louise Banks, of course, the way she explains and the way there was in fact a dialogue where Jeremy Renner says that, I love the way you approach language almost like a mathematician. And a lot of times, we language lovers or people who are typically from the humanities background often don't get our due. But over here, we have somebody who's approaching language in such a technical format. And I just love that. I, in fact, love the way she explains, when I'm forgetting the name of the actor, but he kept on saying that we need, you don't have time. We need the answer. What is the purpose of Earth? And then she explains like why it is important for her to have those set of words, the selection of words to start the initial basis of communication, to make them understand interrogation or question mark, to make them understand what is the meaning of where, and then come to something which is so profound like purpose. The last thing that I want to mention, and I know a lot of times it goes unnoticed, which is the background score of the film. I think it was scored by Johansson. I think I love the background score. Like BGM for this movie was extremely crucial. Again, very different from other alien or other sci-fi films. And I love how they designed, the creature or the heptapod. It was again very different. They didn't look shabby. They were not, those teeth or those tentacles bahar aa rahe. Waisa kuch nahi tha. It was just so aesthetic to look at them.
I actually like the non-binary nature of the movie. I actually like the subjective nature of it. And since I also come from a communication background, like that's what I do for my bread and butter. But I design experiences mostly. But still, I mean, I design human-computer interaction, so I can understand that that hesitation of the character at first, like how to make the first contact and all. And so hence I said, like, I actually like the subjective nature of the movie and like how it was portrayed through all the characters. How, because communication, like when we say, like mostly it comprises of questions and answers. It's a two-way thing. So what happens, like as you said, like what to ask is also important part of communication. That was very well portrayed over here. And once you get the answer, how to perceive those answers also becomes a part of the communication, because that's where we in the modern terminology we can say that's where resides the accountability of it, like how you have perceived. Because if you have perceived is like something in different way, and if you like propagate it, that becomes a pathway for the chaotic society. So I actually like those incidents, how it was beautifully portrayed. The struggle was real to make the first contact, and it was shown in the character. Like if, like for example, weapon as a word, like if you have decipher a word which is translating as weapon, so a military person is understanding weapon as a threat. But what if the term weapon is coming out, like they have the only word to describe that particular term in their vocabulary? What
They
do you
mean
do?
a
Like,
tool.
yeah,
Yes.
if they mean a tool or a machine, so how do you mean it? So hence this beautiful connection was very nicely done in the movie and through all the characters itself. I like how inquisitive the lead character, that heroine, I forgot, the Louise Lane,
Louise
what.
Banks.
And I actually watched this movie 3 days back. I went to one of my friend's house, and he had like 80 plus inches of TV. And I said, like, let's watch something like which deserves this thing, like of 80 inches of viewing screen and all. So, and I watched it. And when I came back to my flat, and I watched it in like in Hindi, just to understand in both the languages, to make it more clear. So yeah, I mean, and he said it that he also teaches, because we designers also used to educate in colleges and all. And in his lectures, he always suggests his visual communication student, like, do watch that movie. We do that like as an assignment or something to give out as an exercise to the students and all.
It was about Banks, and it was about how she perceived time as a construct. That was the most beautiful aspect about the whole movie, and they constructed the movie in such a way. If you see the specific instances that they made sure you get cues, how they constructed the way she thinks and how things were delivered properly in a time specific zone. Her mind was like, from the moment the movie started, we thought her child has passed away and she was married off, like she was divorced, and now she's a teacher. That was not it. Like, she was a teacher, but she was dreaming about the future.
Yes.
Her memories were about the future, and there were clips and bits about the future. And all this, there was a specific incident that I remember about when her daughter came and asked about what is the scientific term about a sentence. It was a word about
Yes.
a win-win scenario, a science thing. And you remember she was thinking about it thing, and when Jeremy Renner said that word, she immediately collected herself and said that into the future self. So that was like a very, very big cue about the entire movie, about how time was perceived by her. And that was so wonderful. Very few movies I've seen have, put forward such details and in a such methodical manner where you cannot catch, there is something wrong with the movie.
I felt like here the aliens were trying to build a kind of a symbiotic relationship with us, which was very interesting for me because, uh, like in Hollywood, what I've heard in ET, but and other alien invasion, जिसमें भी alien का role रहता है, तो there is some kind of violence related. But here, after also, the bomb exploded in the chamber, the aliens were like cooperative. They went up half a mile above the surface, but they were cooperative. And I really like the character of Amy Adams and how I remember one dialogue like this is the proper introduction after she opens up the suit, and I really felt that like she was really what to say trying to emotionally also process that like how not also logically processing and also as an English she also trying to connect the dots about how they perceive time and how they perceive language one point also I like to mention is the music specifically in the that point when she was when Ian was confessing his feelings to her, and there was the whole uh, uh, we were shown the audience was shown the the picture of the mother and the father and the little bird the kid drew on the paper, and the background score of that I really enjoyed, and the violence and the string section I really enjoyed that.
The saddest thing that I felt was that Abbott knew what was coming, and they still chose to do all those things, which also reminds me of few of the time travel TV series or shows that I have seen before. That there is a fixed point in time that one should not disturb. So I think that was the thing that they were trying to show here, as Louise also knew what was going to happen to her daughter. But still, I think she did not try to uh, avoid that, or she accepted what was going to happen.
Talking about character arcs, obviously Lewis is the main character in the film, but I also want to talk about, like, say, Ian Donnelly's character, or Colonel Rebel's role in the movie, or even the heptapods themselves.
I think Louis' character in start the arc is kind of confusing because you start the movie seeing she saw her kid die, and you like watch the whole movie thinking ki okay, iske sath bura hua hai. She is some basically because she walks into her college into her classroom 2 days after the alien invasion, knowing, and I think it would be very practical when there's curfew implemented, etc. There wouldn't be students in the class, but she still keeps coming to the college. Gives us a perception that she's trying to run away from the reality that she's not yet digested her kid dying, etc. So that's how it happens. But then, when at the end of the movie you learn that it's basically it's a superpower either she possesses already or something like that. That's a confusion which I have. But yeah, her character arc is I think beautifully built in terms of while telling the story, where she is shown as something like a gray character, where she's not sure as to what these visions or what these dreams are, but at the same time she's trying to chase what the purpose has been come to her in terms of this alien invasion, of figuring out and saving the society. Because when Whittaker, the colonel, basically tries to withdraw from her office, she realizes that she needs this job. So yeah, so that way this that. Jeremy's character, I think, was more of a very much supporting. I felt bad as someone who is an engineer and love physics, and also Sheldon fan ki yaar theoretical physicist ko itna, like they kind of, you know, made him in a shadow background. But I think that wasn't the purpose of the movie. So it's something that I didn't accept it. But I think he was more of a supporting. Coming to society, which was a very intriguing thing, because after seeing this movie, like and after COVID, like bringing the whole realities of the COVID, that you had news that this nation is trying to give vaccines to hoard the vaccines, etc., etc. I realized, yeah, human behavior is very much predictable, especially in terms of crisis. The way examples built into the movies are, there are few examples where when the alien invasion happened, there are few celebrations that are happening around the world. Soon it starts with fear, obviously. There are celebrations happening in around the world, and then suddenly it comes to riots, then it comes to people walking to Washington, etc. So it kind of similar thing happened in COVID, if you try to draw that analogy. So yeah, that's and I think a lot of psychological research must have gone into this movie to build the whole how just 12 nations are trying to work, etc., etc. So yeah, I think society's character was very, very much focused and very much well written. I would say like 10 on
Okay.
10 for that.
So people were all cooperating, they were all communicating. As soon as they got a few basic ideas about how to communicate or how to there is a goal or as a way of communicating, they started hiding things and deciding playing their own way or own terms so that someone can get ahead of the entire scenario. The same thing happened with COVID also. Before everything was provided for, people were providing resources, money was given properly, encouragement, drive. Even the colonel was, I will provide you with everything. You have your own team, and then you give them something, and then this entire thing, collapses. So they just want results. Like, what is new? What is new? Tell me something new. As Louise was explaining about what is the reason that she was talking about. This is walking. This is me, human. This is Jeremy. Like, this is someone else. So those things, when people have an idea, and people who just want results without understanding the basic concept behind it, and they just wanted to deliver karo mujhe. Like, why are we even doing this? I have to answer to the superiors. That is the reason that people need to just give me something, just give me a result. That was very stupid.
I think first I would like to talk about the character of Jeremy Renner, that's Ian. I think his his physicist brain could have been used better in this context.
Thank you.
And like I was just rooting for him to like use your brain, man. Like the director could have used more, shown the algorithms which they were using. I was really hoping they would show the tech behind what they were using to decipher those palindromic symbols, but they didn't show. And so yeah, I really wanted to see more of him.
Yes.
And what I felt about Weber, Captain like Colonel Weber, I think he was a little bit pushy, but he was also considerate. He was understanding, because whenever she uh, like usually in films I have seen, like this is my personal perception, that usually military officials, they are very much pushy and they are very much authoritative and don't try to listen to the person who is in the brain like thinking part of the team. But here he was always giving a chance to Lois to give out her points and make her opinions. And but yeah, he was I like him, but I did not like the CIA agent. I did not like Halpern, because he was I didn't understand why he was there, because Weber was already there. So what was your purpose? So yeah, I think Louis's character, I was very much interested in, because it's the main character, obviously. And what I felt was that, like, she was very much uh, treating the aliens like they were like us. Like I did not even think of the question, when she asked first, Colonel Weber, like, do they have names or where do we call names? And like you call alien names, like uh, I did not even comprehend like you can call alien names and you can jump to that thought. So she was very much acting treated them as uh, uh, what to say, not a threat, not a threat basically. And and the I really observed how the news channels and particularly the YouTuber who was spreading panic among the soldiers, it was very harmful. Like it really showed the like I'm reiterating the point already that in the pandemic time there was a lot of bullshit stuff that was going around, and here also it was shown that due to that YouTuber and sort of the news, um, the rogue soldiers plant a bomb, which was definitely not useful for any of the parties.
The main prompt of the night. If you could see your whole life from start to finish, would you change things?
Yes,
And
beautiful, beautiful question. I actually have prepared an answer for it because I thought of that. That this movie makes you think of that in any which way. But yeah, I want to come for the character thing first, and the central character itself, Louise Banks, how she's the core of this movie in many ways. Like from the beginning, she's a woman in the men's world. Like you see that Silence of the Lambs kind of a comparison where where there is war, there is a threat, and like the person who was recruited before her, like they had gone to someone else before her also, and he was not able to make it because he was not able to stand the the aliens or the uncertainty of the situation and all of that. And also she's a humanitarian in in this world. Like if you see one of her earlier introductions, it is where she's talking about Portugal language and how it is different from other Roman languages, and she's talking about how that language has evolved because it is an expression of art. So that little bit of foreshadowing is right there only of her character where she meets Jeremy and he's talking more on lines of science. Also, there is this question of this Chinese people communicating with the aliens in Mahjong, the game. I think Anurag would know about it better. Like in terms of like she's then explaining about okay, if you are only explaining things like chess, like a winner and loser, then the whole communication dynamic changes so separately. And that's such a subtle point because so many of our conversations in so many of our systems that we inhabit in come from the point of winning, losing, dominating, sort of giving away. And our sort of sentence construction, which also affects our thinking, which then affects our beliefs, choices, and then our way of life, comes because of the systems that we inhabit in. So that also, I think, her character kind of gives away. And I love the fact that, okay, when the world is attacked and all of that, there is a mother who's called, and it's not just any other mother, it's a mother who understands language, how to communicate in that matter. Like, I love the logline of this movie. Like, there's a threat, like, there's an alien invasion. We don't know if they have come here to attack us or like what, but we will hire a linguist for it. Like, which military or army in the world would actually do that? Like so that I love that fact about this character in many which ways. There's also this comparison I would draw with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where they are talking about erasing memories of the past, right? And here she's having the memories of the future, like she's having the future also with her. She has to carry that as well. And this movie makes a brilliant case if compared in context to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'll take 30 seconds to read out something I had written about Arrival in 2020 when I had kind of seen it. I'll share my screen also so that everyone can see it, and I'll just read it out. Non-linearity. I've always been told that stories have a clear beginning, middle, and end. So I've looked at all my stories like that, for the anxieties of the beginning, for the belonging in the middle, and the inevitability of the end. Each moment of time, each choice as a pendulum of the existential struggle oscillating between what has been and what will be. But what if all the pieces that time has broken the story into can be arranged and rearranged in any order? What if the endings are the beginnings and the middle is the end? It's often said that time heals. But what if instead of being driven by the chase of healing, we turn our focus on everything that the wound has to offer? Would we unlock new doors then? Find new ways of living, beginning, the middle, and the end? So, like when I thought about this question, right, like there's this Friedrich Nietzsche had said, like, you should live your life like in eternal perpetuity, continuing, that every choice that you're making, you will have to come in the same life for a million times and keep making the same choice, keep living through the same thing over and over again. So then you become more cautious about, okay, what is happening, and like really embracing it. So I think her character is really a testimony for that. Like when she says, I knew, my daughter was going to die, in a very rare disease and all of that. But I still chose her life. I still chose, bringing her into this world, celebrating that relationship and going through that pain of it. Because when you choose love, you choose grief along with it. So yeah, so coming back to your question, my answer is a resounding yes. Like I was just thinking of every horrible thing that has happened to me, and will I kind of take it for every good thing that has also happened? It's a very painful conversation or thought to get into, but I think it's a very affirming one also as well. So this movie, that's why it struck me like a lightning, and I'm like, okay, I will say yes to that question. I would like to embrace it.
I don't think I would like to change anything because so I just feel that our senses are very much designed by our present. But when it comes to me, I have seen my senses are very much designed by not only my present, but also about my past. Because I am somebody who, I have an elephant's memory. I don't forget anything, be it good, be it bad. It is very, very difficult sometimes, especially when you can't forget the not so favorable things that happens to your life. But I don't do it out of choice. I just don't forget things. I remember each and everything. I don't know how I do it, but I just do it. So I not only dwell in my present, but I dwell in my past. To be very honest, I don't want to know what my future, holds for me. It will be an added pressure for me because I'm already dealing with my present and with my past. I haven't forgotten a single thing about my past. So I don't personally want to know what the future has for me. I would love surprises or shocks or whatever. But I don't think I would like to change anything if I even get to know about my future, because I am an optimist. I love my life. I'm very grateful for whatever I have. And I feel whatever my future will have for me, it will be something that I deserve and I will embrace it fully. I will not want to change a single thing, good or bad. Because I know the moment I would want to change the bad things, the good things will also have, life is all about balancing act. You can't have everything good. And I wouldn't want to change a single good thing about my life. I'm pretty sure 20 years before, if I knew this is going to be my life, I would have loved it. And sitting over here, if I get to know what will happen in my life 20 years from now on, I will still, probably be more than happy to welcome it with open arms.
Because my life has been a certain way, it's easy for me to say that, I won't change anything. But when the movie portrays the protagonist where she is losing a child, something as significant as that. Now, the first thing as a pet parent, what came to my mind is, okay, not the exact thing, but this is something I already signed up for. Will I change it? Not in 1,000 years. Har baar karenge. I know that this is something that is going to happen eventually. But will I give up this chance of giving that creature a moment of respite, or even, I don't know, just playing with it, and little moments that we have between us. I'm missing her when I'm away from home right now. But no, I wouldn't change anything about that.
I think in the start they try to tell us that for them the time is not linear and it's circular. That's a clue from their language. But the point about the circular thing is that it doesn't have a start and doesn't have an end, right? So, and that's what Louise's character is basically based out that. And okay, another thing is they are not using words as the same thing which they're speaking. It's conveying meaning or it's conveying feelings. And I think my perception about this is that in the way time has been perceived, or the way how Louise sees future is it's feelings she knows. That's kind of a deja vu, and it's not things she knows about future. So what she knows, like she didn't know what to say on the phone when to the Chinese emperor, Chinese guy, but and at that point, let's say we are seeing the time linearly, like we break down the circle. Let's assume there's a start and then end. We break down the circle and see it linearly, and then at the end of the time, she's meeting the Chinese emperor, and she still doesn't know what she said in the past. So it's not exactly linear. So it's not essentially she knows of the future or she knows the past. Because there's this one line which made it clear for me was, she hugged Jeremy Renner for the first time in the movie, and she says, I missed how good it feels you holding me, or something like that. And she's basically sharing what she feels and not like she knows that she's going to happen. So I guess, yeah, if I knew what I'm going to feel about this thing in future, I think I'll get very scared, very anxious. Because if I sense there's pain coming, then obviously I'll be scared. And I think it will depend on the kind of feeling it will change, but on an holistic level, yes, I wouldn't change things.
She already know that her daughter will going to die and everything, but she not change the future, because if she done that thing, the whole scenario will be the change. Like there will be the war between the humans and the aliens, and the totally will be the change. She even know that, and even she go through that path, and which is I love that thing about this movie when I deeply understand it right now. And even you will see the land perspective also, that even in one scene, I guess, the Louise and her daughter having a conversation, like why the papa yeah, like why the father is gone, like what happened to her, what happened to him, like where the Louise told her that she, according to him, like I have choose a wrong choice. Like I have done a wrong choice. So if you will see in perspective of if Lan have the vision of the future, then he will definitely not born in that future, because he will very think of his daughter. But in case of, if you see Louis, she will go in that path, because she even know that if she will not go in that path, the past version of her will not get that vision, and she will not come through that, like saving the this humanity and this alien, because the alien also told her like that okay, like after 3,000 years later, we need the help of human beings. So yeah, according to that, this is the reason I will feel like the aliens comes to her, and yeah, the way, like she is the path of everything.
There are no things as such as good or bad emotions. It's just a spectrum, and just accept it and embrace it. So I would just accept whatever future holds me and embrace it.
First point I have is the arrogant side of me, the egoistic side of me, which says, if I have the power to see the future, let's just go with it. I know what is going to go wrong. I'll just play with it. कि okay, ठीक है. अब मुझे पता है कहाँ पे क्या गलत होने वाला है. I'll just go there, then and there. I'll just change things. I'll make things in my way, like buying stocks. Good example. Even whatever losses I'm going to face, whatever bad things are going to happen to me, I'll just do whatever best in my power to just change it. Yeah. So then this comes to the mind. Then the second thought which comes is, okay, now there is always a balance to each and everything. Then each wrong you're going to do bad is going to have somewhere or the other consequences which you have not seen. How are you going to anticipate that? Then there's a counter argument in my mind. Okay, maybe I should think of it again. Like, okay, I should think it through properly, because basically having to see the future is like playing God. You have that kind of arrogance come to you, like you're playing God in your own life, and you don't know what is going to happen. And for each and every bad thing you're changing to good, there's a bad thing waiting for you to happen, because there's no escape, right? And I agree with Deblina. I have elephant of a memory. I don't forget, good or bad, even especially bad. So even if I'm not able to process my baggage which is from past, how should I handle the future as well? Like ये भी नहीं वो भी नहीं, अब रात को नींद भी नहीं आया दिन भी नहीं कट रहे, रात को नींद भी नहीं आएगी अभी कि फ्यूचर का सोचने बैठ गए. So this is there. And at one more point I'll mention is, in this movie is the leap of faith which Louise Banks takes. That is by removing her hazard
Hazard
suit.
suit.
I think that moment for me was really remarkable, because everyone had this, because they've watched so many alien movies, they had so much of past baggage of what alien must be. No one was, ready to take the risk, but she was the only one who was like, okay, no, I can. Taking that first leap of faith, I think that is really important in any relationship you take. Friendship, romantic relationship, going to a new place, making new friends, even trusting a stranger who is asking for money at a bus stop. You have to take that leap of faith to establish that first connection, first real heart to heart connection. So I think, yeah, that leap of faith for me was, I think, that's where from which the real communication started with the aliens in the movie.
If you guys are staying back for another fun prompt, um, it is, if you find an alien, you're home alone, find an alien in your bedroom, what is the one question you would ask? Assuming that they already know the language, what is the one question you would ask? And would you name them? Like, for example, if Abbott and Costello are like the American comedic duo.
If right now if the aliens come to my house, I'll be shit scared, because in the movie there's a scene with Ian asks that, like, do you dream about them? Do they come in your dreams? And she turns and is just standing right there, like a jump cut. That was very scary for me. So yeah, it would be very scary. That's the first thing. Then what would I ask? I don't know. Everyone's like telling they'll ask philosophical questions or ask them. We're just assuming they know everything. It's like, what if they're here to ask us something? Maybe that's it. So yeah, what I would ask is, why are you in my house? Why my house? That's one thing, and I would ask them for like, do you want water or something? Because that's what my mother told. If guests come, you go give water.
Oh, I love that. But I also like the confidence that you're like, oh, why me? Am I the chosen one? Am I going to save someone? But
Yeah.
yes,
And
if
if
they ask me any question, I
name,
won't be able to answer anything.
yeah. And to name them, I think I would name them as one of my friends' names or something. That's easier to converse with them. Other than me, I don't know what would I talk. Yeah, that's about it.
No, I understand naming them after your friends, but the thing what happens is, if I name them something very, normal, but I'm going to end up the Punekar in me is going to end up reducing their name. Like if it's Prakash or something, I'm going to call him Pakya after a few days, definitely. So yeah, the naming system does not work with me at all. Yeah.
So while talking about two aliens, I just thought of one alien. So probably I would name the alien Geet and ask that तुम हमेशा से इतने अजीब थे या वक्त ने क्या कोई हसीन सी था?
हाय हाय। एलियंस के साथ भी फ्लर्ट करना है अर्नब को।
पूछ लूंगा बस।
Oh, that's nice. And what would you said you would name them Geet. Is that right? Okay.
Name I was just thinking of one. I was not about it two. If it is two, like probably I'll name them. It's after two characters of one of my very favorite Bengali comics, which we all as Bengalis have grown up reading. It's called Nonte Fonte. So there are these two guys, two hostelites who stays in a hostel, and there are this only 4 or 5 characters in this comic, 4 consistently. So there is two guys, and there is one senior guy. The senior guy is called Kelto. He's a very thin guy with curly hair, and there's a headmaster of the hostel, warden kind of a guy, and Geeta and Anshumani, of course, Anshumani alien tha. So there was this famous like a comic. I'm forgetting. There's a word for people who write, like sketches and writes comics, right? There's one word for it. I'm just not able to get it at this moment. So there's this person called Narayan Devnath. He passed away 2 years back, I think. Yeah, 2021 or 22, 1 or 2 years back. So he's one of the most famous sketch artists across Bengal. He has a plethora of comics and series of comics. There's one Nonte Fonte, there's one Batul the Great, there is one Hada Bhoda. So and there are others as well. These are the three most popular series of comics he has like produced in his lifetime. He has done numerous like title sketches for many films, many Bengali films at those stages. And like you used to have those hand done sketches for especially the black and white films. He's a prolific artist, a prolific writer as well. And all children, mostly children around Bengal, like they grew up reading them because there are visuals and there are humorous, funny stories which intrigue you very much as a child, even as adults. I still read Nonte Fonte. I have a full omnibus of it. I still read them. So probably I'd read them name them Nonte Fonte because especially Nonte, these are like two guys and one guy like he has a ponytail kind of a thing. And as a child, I used to be very fascinated by his hairstyle because that's not a normal thing, normal like kind of a it's kind of the Brahminical ponytail which like certain pundits or like they have. It's like that, but he has hair, but it's ponytailed. So I'll share a photo in the chat maybe in some
Yeah.
time.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
I love that, you have thought about this a lot and, historically naming the aliens on something that you have great, kind of bonds or relations with the childhood characters. Amazing.
Yeah, can I just share my screen for 1 minute?
Yes.
Is it okay if should I just share my screen for 1 minute? Yeah, I just want to yeah. So like basically, it would be like this. I don't know why is it not zooming in. So yeah, these are the two like animations have been made. So these are the two main kids which you can see, and there is to be two supporting characters or what you call them. So yeah.
Those legs.
Yeah, and the comics used to be like this. The comics used to be like this, like what you see inside, and all the sketches done by the author and stuff. So a great person. I admire his works. I tried to write up a small thing on him when he passed away because I wanted people outside, like Bengal also to know about his works because his works are so nice.
So I would probably name them Ramesh and Suresh, and would probably ask them Modak khane aaye ho kya?
I think I'd ask it for its playlist. Yeah, music. What's music like in your realm, and just share your playlist, and yeah, I'll share with you mine maybe.
But immediately when you said music, the first thing I thought was the kind of music or sounds that we've heard people create that would come out of aliens is more beeps and trancey and more like lengthy chords. But yeah, might be interesting. You never know. That's a
So
great,
which
great
is what I
question.
used to think of. I think Bollywood music when I was 8, not Bollywood, old retro music when I was 8 or 9, I guess. Maybe Taste will evolve or whatever.
Yeah. Aniket has said, "What if they say tum to thera parisi?" But I have a what if they say om 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 is on their playlist.
I was, I was just waiting कि कब तुम खत्म करके आए इसलिए अनुराग will ask them what is in दिल पे ओम बम 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 खत्म don't finish.
रुको मूवी बनी है इस पे रुको मैं दिखाता हूँ